Taking accurate body circumference measurements. When it comes to taking measurements, I like to use 4 different protocols for the women that I work with. The 4 protocols will be arm, waist, hips, and then your thighs. When it comes to taking your measurements, you can use one of the measurement tapes. This one's actually from my mom's sewing kit. She does not like to sew, so it's okay. I'm not leaving her hanging here, but you can use measurement from the sewing kit or the tape from the sewing kit. I would typically measure with centimeters. That way you're going to get a bit more of an accurate reading, but you can also do inches as well. The reason why I would do centimeters is, let's say you lost 1 or 1.5 centimeters. It's going to show, or you'll be a little bit more proud, rather than inches are going to take longer, specifically in things like your arms. The other thing you can do is on Amazon, they have these which are specifically made for body measurements. What they do is you wrap them around your body, and then from there you'll pull it on. When it comes to taking your measurements, it might be a little bit easier to do it with a friend, or you definitely at least need to have a mirror. For my upper arm, what I'll do, I'm gonna always measure the same side of my body, specifically for my arm and my thighs. So I would use my right arm. I'm right hand dominant, but it really doesn't matter. You just wanna make sure you're measuring that same side all of the time. With my arm, there's a little bony prominence at the top of my arm, and what I'm gonna do is measure down to the point in my arm. This is why you need a mirror or a friend, to where your arm is the thickest. And then from there, you're gonna get that friend, or do it yourself, where you're gonna wrap around. What I like to do is mark a little X at that point, and then I wrap around. The other thing I'll do is wherever I put the X from that bony prominence, I'll measure how many inches it is down. So typically, it could be anywhere from 4 to maybe 7.5 inches or 8 inches for someone who's a lot taller. But the thing with measurements is you want to be as accurate as possible. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but you want to be as accurate as possible. So for my arms, I'll measure down to that spot where it's the thickest, and then from there, I'll take my measurement and wrap it around. And then I write down how far down I measured, so that again, when I go to remeasure, I'm always measuring down from that point. For my waist, it's a little bit easier. I'll measure right around my belly button. Obviously, you want to do this without any clothing around these areas. So something like a sports bra, or if you're a male, you can just take your shirt off. But you want to have no clothing obstructing your measurements. For your waist, it's right around your belly button, like so. Again, just take a look in the mirror. Make sure that that measurement tape is nice and flat. It's not coming across the side. That would make it any bigger. At one point for your hips, what you're going to do is same thing. You look in the mirror. This one's a little less technical. What I do is I just look in the mirror. I want to look at that point where I'm going to be sort of the biggest around my glutes, and then around my glutes I'm going to wrap, pull it nice and tight, measure from there. And then for my thighs, same thing I would as my upper arm. I have that little bony prominence here, my ASIS. I'm gonna bring it down, measure to a certain point where my thigh would be the thickest. From there, I mark that X. However long it takes down, I wanna write that down, and then from the X, I'm gonna measure around the thigh with a straight leg. So a little bit of weight on that one side, but not too much weight. A little bit of weight, but not too much, to the point that the muscle would be flexing. So those are the 4 different measurement protocols. Again, to recap in quick fashion, you have either the body weight measuring tape, or you can use the measuring tape from your sewing kit. For your arm, you measure from that bony prominence at the top, right down to the thickest point in your arm, and then wrap around from there. From the waist, right around the waist, from the hips, around the point of your glutes where it pokes out the most. And then from the thigh, same thing, down from the ASIS to that point where your thigh would be the greatest in circumference, and then measure from there.